Hi guys, welcome back. How are you doing? I wanted to kind of follow up with this and show you where I am. I think when I left last time, I still had to cover the backs of the envelopes, which I did. So all the backs of the envelopes are now covered. I hope I'm in frame for all of that. My camera, I'm trying to adjust my camera stand so it works. So I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about the paper that I am using for this inside. So Eva from Bohemian Crafting has a kit that she put on her Patreon site that's called Something Blue. And she originally made it for, I believe, a wedding album. And I decided that it would go really great with this paper, this Mintay paper, Old Manor paper. I thought it would just go really well with it. So I wanted to show you the paper first. I've already used a couple sheets of it to cover the backs of those envelopes, but as you can see, it goes really well with this. It's just beautiful paper. It's got that kind of cracked paint look with it, and these French invoices and some roses and some butterflies. Let me find some more of it because I printed a bunch of it out. So here's another sheet. Here's another one. And mine printed a little more green. I mean, some of them printed pretty dark blue, and there is some darker blue in this kit, or in this paper. You know, there is some darker blues in here, but they're not as in your face maybe as this one is, but I still think that's okay. But mine printed a little more on this teal side than blue for most of it, and that matches really, really perfectly. Let me just stand up so I can make sure I'm in frame for you guys. That matches really well, I think. So I think it's really beautiful paper. She also has some of her paper in, and I think I printed all of those too, yeah. So she has some of them that also have these butterflies on them, and I think that one is beautiful. And when she used this paper in hers, she used, and all of them are portrait size. None of them are landscape like journal pages. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to work with this. These I printed all at normal size. And I wanted to so those are all the main ones, and then she has all of those as smaller ones for cards, and even smaller, if I can find what I did with them, somewhere on my desk somewhere. There is an even smaller set of those that's even a smaller size, I believe. And when I come across them, I will show you. And then she also has a bunch of journaling cards, and like some strips. Like this is kind of a different, you know, obviously different than that. So you could use this card, you could use the strip, you could make a pocket out of it, you can make tuck spots. So there's a few different cards like this. Here's some that are just cards. Here's some more. Another one. These last couple have kind of a longer strip and a couple of bigger cards, and then some smaller ones. Same here, 2 bigger ones, this strip, and then a 3 smaller ones. And then another one. That's the last one. So library card, a guest check. couple. So I printed all of those out to use. And I also printed all of these pages, the first set of pages I showed you. I printed them all in a smaller size. So I printed them all at 70% on my printer. And they all came out to be this size. And then what I did, because this has a lot of yellow in it, you know, it's got this really kind of yellowy, kind of mustardy color in it, maybe a little bit. So, and the envelopes are all this kind of yellow color. So I decided to add some yellow to it. So I took a crackle stamp that I have and I used Distress Oxide Fossilized Amber and stamped that. And then I also used Antique Linen and I stamped some kind of flourishes along the edges as well. And then I inked all around all of these pages. So it's all of her main pages, and they are all just a smaller size that will fit in here. And actually they're still a little big, but I'm just going to go ahead and trim them down to size. So I also have a few things, extra things that I just kind of found in my library of printables. So I have a couple sets of these little tags that are from My Porch Prints. And I believe all of these things that I'm showing you right here are freebies on their Facebook page. So these little tags, this set of numbers, labels, which when I didn't realize I'd printed it and I didn't have it normal size, I had to try to blow it up a little bit and it cut the top ones off, but that's okay. I don't know how many of these I'll use, but I have them to use. And then I also have these, which are also from My Porch Prints. And I think these are all freebies off of their Facebook page, I believe. So I have those. And then I also have a couple of other things. So the other couple of things that I have is I have this invoice that I'm not sure where I got this, so I'm going to have to look it up and I will put it down in the description box. But I like this invoice because it's got blue writing on it, which I thought was actually really cool and would go really well with this. It's a little maybe orange, but I'm okay with that. I'm not going to stress too much about that. And then I also have this, which is a French, I think it's a printable, but I'm not really sure. I actually got this in a pack from Danielle at Philospace Handmade, one of her Patreon packs that she sent, I think a couple of months ago. This came with that. And I think it's just really, really beautiful and has that kind of blue tinge to it and maybe a little blue gray, but I thought it might work in here. So I'm gonna check it out and see. I don't know if I will use it yet. Oop, I'm just about ready to drop everything on the floor. Sorry. So I have that. And then I also have, let me put that up there so I don't lose it. I also have some papers that I printed, background papers that are from Shabby Dabby Doodah. So this is like her coffee dyed with like a lace or a doily or something over the top of it. So I have this set that I bought from her, and I use this a lot as background pages, like the other side of a page. So I have that. And then I wanted to talk to you now a little bit about some of the other things. So those are kind of just all the, I guess, more decorating pages, really. Like, I'm not going to use so much of that. So the other thing that I have that I'm going to use to decorate with is I have this piano roll paper. So I'm not sure yet how I'm going to use it, but we're going to use it whether I emboss on it, or run it through the die cut machine with the embossing folder, or use a stencil and put some texture paste on here. So I'm not sure. I'm going to play around with that a little bit. But what I wanted to show you, what I did was, so all of the pages in this kit that Eva did are portrait. They're not landscape. So I didn't want to fold them all, you know, and put them in the book. I didn't want to take all of these and fold them all this way and put them in, because they would all be sideways. And I mean, this one isn't bad because it's flowers, but some of them have writing on it. Like this one has writing on it. So to fold this one in half, all the writing would be sideways, and I don't mind that sometimes, but I don't want it to happen all the time. And the album that Eva made, the journal that she made, was actually a wedding album, and she did it all with all portrait pages that she glued onto her bases. And I like that idea, and I started thinking about how I could do that in this maybe. But then I decided I was just going to leave that for another one. I actually have this really fun idea. I want to make a couple of lap books. So I think I'm going to use that idea with lap books. I've done that in past in photo albums, scrapbooks that I make, that where you make the base pages and then you glue everything to that page. I like that idea a lot. So I'm going to use that in a couple of future journals that I'm going to make. So what I did with these was I took all of her base pages, and so like here's this original size. Excuse me for reaching across the camera in front of your face. So here's the original size. So I shrunk them all down, printed them all at 70%, I believe. And they're still a little too big for what I want, but I can just cut them down here and there, just a little bit here and there. And then I also realized that there's not really a lot of yellow in any of these at all. I mean, there's some brown from the grunginess that she did. So I took Distress Oxide, Fossilized Amber, and Antique Linen, and I just randomly stamped, I have this little kind of flourishy design here, and then a crackle stamp. And there's crackle all over all of these pages, but there's also crackle in this Mintay. Here's the crackle here. So I thought that that would go really well with all of this. So I decided that I was going to just add some yellow to all these, and then I went and inked around the edges. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these in a minute. I wanted to go through the rest of the papers. So I have in here to use, I have some coffee dyed papers that I coffee dyed a while ago. Some of these got really dark and grungy. Actually, when I made these, I actually dried them on top of my wood burning stove. So when they dried, they kind of got really brown and kind of crunchy, which I like. And they're still really flexible like paper. They're not brittle and really at all. But I just like how they got really grungy like this. This is from the same batch, but it just didn't get as grungy all over, just parts of it kind of. So I have these papers that I'm going to use in here. I also have a doily that I dyed at the same time, so it's also pretty kind of yellow and grungy, which I like because of all the yellow. And then a few years ago, I bought this paper I think I got it from Amazon, and it's like antiqued paper. I think that's already printed antique. So I want to say there's 50 sheets in a pack, and there's 5 designs. So maybe 10 of each sheet, give or take, I think. I think that's it. So they're the same on both sides. So if I open this up, you'll see like this design and this design, they're the same. They just flipped them. So they're the exact same design on both sides. But I have these 4 because I thought they were yellow enough that they would work. And then I also have these that are out of that same pack. They're not as yellow, but they're still kind of grungy, and they might work with what I'm going to do. So, I also have a couple of sheets of just gray, regular weight letter paper. I wasn't sure how well the gray would work, so I'm going to just kind of see how they look in there. And then as far as other papers that I have a couple of sheets of this writing, like kids handwriting paper. I have a couple sheets of that. I have a piece of vellum. I have a piece of brown cardstock, which I don't really know why I have a whole pack of papers this size. I don't know if they came maybe as a set to make cards with or something. I don't know, but they're all this size. I folded it, but they all came like this unfolded. So I don't know if that's what they are. I'm not sure. I also have a piece of antique music that I also got from Danielle at Philospace, was in her thing. This was also from Danielle. It's an antique invoice that I'm going to put in. And then this is also from Danielle as well, and it is a book. I think it's a garden book, and it's about a lot of different, I think the book has a lot of different things in it, but I like this because this kit, or this paper pack from Mintay, is called The Old Manor. And I like this because it was about a manor house, and so I kind of like this, and so I'm going to use this. I don't necessarily like the inside as much because it doesn't really match the journal, so I'm going to cover these, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that in a minute. I also have this page, which I think may end up being the center. So this is out of a book that I got at my local used bookstore, and it's a book on Audubon. It's an Audubon book of birds. And I liked this one because it's got the yellow and the blue in it, and I think this will be the center page of the journal. I also have, and I think I talked about this in a previous journal that I made, but I have this big book. This is how big it is. It's called The Garden. It's about that thick, and all the pages, I think it's a, like, for lack of a better word, a newspaper or a newsletter or something about gardening. It's from Great Britain, from England, and the dates are 1895, and inside of the book it says it was all printed in 1895. So what I did was I took this page and I just ripped it in half, and I'm going to use them in and fold them somehow and use them. I also have this bag, which I kind of like the color on that. I think will work really well with this. I also have this piece of fabric that was a piece of fabric from a like a sample book of fabrics for couches and chairs and that kind of thing. And then I have this huge piece of ledger paper that I have a bunch of these sheets that I got a while ago from a vintage store. And I don't know yet whether I'm going to fold it up and fold it to make it fit in here, or whether I'll cut it and make it fit. So I'm not sure, 100% sure on that yet. So those are all the pages that are going in, and maybe not all of them, but so I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this paper. Not that one. So what I did was, when I printed this, the way that Eva had it, she, like I said, she'd glued them all in. So I liked that look, and I thought I could do a similar thing. So, and I know these are bigger, and some of them are going to be bigger, but I figured I could take them and kind of glue them in and cover up and still get that same effect that she had, whether it's, just kind of cover them up like this. And they would just be glued to the sheets that are in here. And then, so this would be this page, for example. And I would trim them all down so they all fit, so it all looked like one thing. So it would be this page, and when you opened it up, it would be like this. And obviously there'd be more pages in here because this wouldn't be the center piece. And then, it would go like this. So I think that's what I'm going to do with these, is just glue them on to some of these pages in here, and make them part, like I could use these gray pieces of paper right here as the base to glue these on too, and they would fit on there, and then I would just trim them down to fit and trim this down to fit. So it would look like it was the actual piece going this way. So, and you know, and then you could obviously then make pockets this way as well, which would be really cool, or flip outs even if you wanted it on something. Like if I wanted to put one in here, I could still do that and then just have a flip out. So there's lots of options, different things to do. So I kind of like that idea of doing that. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and make the signature and actually get it sewed in to the book. So the one thing that I wanted to show you was, I want to make sure we're still recording, because I think before I kind of stopped recording, so I had originally thought that I would make it kind of like Eva had, as I make the base pages out of cardstock, and then you fold them and you glue them together, and then you put them into the spine. You glue them into the spine right here. So when I thought about doing that, I thought, you know, that's cool, but I didn't feel like this was the right cover for this. So I'm going to do that in a future video. I've done it before in other videos when or not other videos, in other books I've made. Like I make scrapbooks that really are very interactive and that kind of thing. And I've made those kinds of pages and spines and those, like a hinge kind of spine. So I'm going to do that in a future. I'm going to make a couple of bigger lap books. I have a couple of fun ideas I want to make. But what I did was I started thinking about how to do this, and I made these pages, and I inked up some paper, and I actually brayered it, and even though they're square, it's just because the way the brayer rolled on to the Distress Oxide. And I also put some gold paint on there, and I don't know if you can see the shine on there at all from the gold paint. I'm not sure. So I did this, and I like this, and I'm going to keep these to use for something else, obviously. But I didn't really like them with this book. I thought they were too maybe artsy, abstract-y for this. But I do have this one piece here that I may use for the spine of this, because this will end up being a hidden spine that I'm going to glue in. So I may use this to sew the signature to, and then stick this down for the spine. So I'm thinking about doing that. I haven't decided yet. It's still up in the air as of right now. So I know this video is probably a little short, but I'm going to cut it off now, and then I will we'll have another video in the future that will do some of the embellishments and stuff, because I like to create them as I go, as opposed to mass making them. So I'll use all those little cards and everything that we made that I showed you before, to make pockets and tucks, and we'll make a lot of pockets and tucks and things with all the pages, flip outs and those kinds of things with all the pages. So I'll do all that, and then I'll come back and show you that at the end, and then we'll come back in another video and make a few embellishments, and I'll show you what I'm doing and where they're going to go and how I'm going to use them. So I will be back in a little bit.